Howdy, 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 folks. Today we're going to review the Aegis Reclaimer. Now, I know that I'd talked about getting more into combat ships, but after looking through the ships that I have access to at this moment, the content that I've done, and talking things over with my wife, who is much more intelligent than I am, we decided to go ahead and finish off reviewing the industrial ships. So here's the Reclaimer. Now, in my humble opinion, the Reclaimer is the most reliable high-income earner in the game. Solo or multi-crew, the ship just earns credits. Solo play is entirely focused on salvaging, and multi-crew can be considerably more flexible, but we'll get to that later. Let's start outside the ship and work our way in. So there are currently 2 entrances to the ship if it's landed, and 5 total if you're in 0G. This front elevator takes you to the control command area of the ship. The rear elevator takes you to all levels of the ship, pretty much. Though it can be a bit of a maze to make it to the command part of the ship from the rear elevator, but it's not too crazy. It's definitely much better than it used to be with the stability improvements they've made for this ship in particular. Now, additionally, there are 2 airlocks that are about 2/3 of the way back on the ship. They're up on the habitation deck, which is the second highest deck up, although nobody uses the one above it because it's completely useless. Additionally, there is a top-mounted docking collar. I must not have clicked the engine off because it's rotated since then, so now it's in the dark. But that's where that flashing light is and the whole telling you it's the docking collar. Alright, let's go up the rear elevator so we can see all the neat stuff. Anyone coming back to this ship who maybe used it in 3.17, 3.18, or even 3.19, it is considerably more stable. A lot of the workarounds and bug fixes you had to do to just be able to use the ship aren't really a problem anymore. One of those being the rear elevator just works. I've been using this ship quite a bit the last couple days, trying to get a feel for this before I shot the video, and I have not had a single issue with the rear elevator, including me doing all of the things that were definitely on the list of things not to do with the rear elevator from those previous patches. We're going to go ahead and start moving up. Now, the first deck we're going to come to is the cargo deck. Now, I have tested this patch, and the cargo grid is now functional in the cargo hold, and it can store up to 180 SCU. Not really a lot to show here. You can use it as a pseudo carrier if you wanted to. I don't recommend it just because, yes, the elevator is stable now, but getting even Furies in and out of this area is just, you've got to have perfect, and I mean like perfect, flight capability, because you've got to be able to fit through that tiny gap, and it is possible in a Fury, but one mistake and you're not just losing a Fury, you're losing this ship, which currently has like a 39-minute reclaim time if you don't want to expedite, and even with the expedite it's still like, I think, 12 minutes. I don't remember. Either way, not what I would recommend this ship for. There's other much better options. We're gonna go up again to the salvage hold. Now, I've already mentioned that they've made quite a few stability updates to this ship. One of the things that they took away is here in the salvage hold, and that is the elevator, emergency elevator kind of ramp thing at the rear. It's just this black hole. You can walk on it. I haven't been in anyone else's Reclaimer, so it might just be mine's bugged, although I have had to claim this ship a couple times, and still, it's been the exact same. You can't access it from the exterior either. Another thing of note, while yes, they fixed the cargo grid in the actual cargo hold, there is still not a cargo grid here. I actually use this room to store components and weapons that I strip off of my salvage contracts. We're going to go up again to the salvage processing deck. So here's where the credits are printed, in my opinion, for this ship. There is a salvage station on each side. This is not a cargo grid, but there are 4 cargo grid areas. There's 2 here at the front. Each of those holds 25 SCU of cargo. And then there are 2 larger ones at the rear that each hold 35 SCU of cargo, meaning this room alone can fit 120 SCU of cargo. Additionally, what you can do if you have a full crew, if you've got 1 or 2 guys in here moving boxes as they come out of the salvage units, you can just throw them down this little chute here. You can fill up here and then just start throwing them down here and have 1 or 2 people moving them using the elevator. That way you're not having to run up and down the elevator constantly, because that just gets tedious. We're going to skip the habitation deck real quick to peek at the top deck in the ship. It's the salvage balcony. This is going to be a short trip because there's literally nothing here. It is completely useless. Honestly, I'm pretty sure the only reason it's here is so they had somewhere for the black kite missions for you to be able to get a better shooting vantage point. It is literally just these catwalks. There's no storage up here. I mean, I guess in theory you could throw, salvaged weapons and components up here as well. And stack probably thousands of crates in this ship. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is possible. I have not seen someone completely fill one of these yet. Honestly, that kind of feels like a challenge I might want to take on this weekend with the org. We'll see. But yeah, this salvage balcony is just, it's useless. Another small complaint, and they fixed it a little bit in this last patch, but it's still pretty bad. It's very dim in here. I have my brightness settings pretty close to maxed out when I fly this ship, just because it's really dark in the salvage processing room, and it can be difficult to see, and I really don't understand why, because they left a lot of the trash and graffiti and things from the Black Kite mission all over the ship. And I'll actually point out a couple more of those. But in the Black Kite mission, this room is super bright. You can see everything. So I don't get why some things carried over, some things didn't. Well, let's go peek at the habitation deck. Alright, so here we are in the habitation deck. Now the first room you're going to come into off of that rear elevator is actually the airlock room. Once again, there's 1 airlock on each side. Inside the little hallways, I'm pretty sure these are supposed to be EVA lockers. They're non-interactable. Oopsie. But they're there, and that is a great way, if you're doing salvage contracts and you want to pull parts off of the ship instead of using the elevators. Especially don't use the front elevator in space, because it can be a nightmare to retract just because of how it's set up. I'd honestly recommend using these airlocks to get in and out of the ship. Yeah, you can use the rear elevator, but it takes so much longer. Go through the airlock, pop down there, open the elevator, and then go, start pulling ship parts and weapons. I've easily fit size 5 guns. I think I had 6 size 5 guns on the elevator pad yesterday morning. I did a C2, no, A2. Pretty much all the guns on the A2 fit on this pad, no problem. It's easy to get them up to the salvage hold and just set them in there. Additionally, there are these ladders which take us down to the engineering area of the ship. Obviously, engineering gameplay hasn't been fully introduced yet, but there's already a station here, right here. So you can, once that gets brought in, you will have a place to put an engineer. There's no component access in the ship yet, so you can't pull parts off of one. You come across a wild one ready to get salvaged, but it's nice to know that they are thinking ahead with the designs of these ships. Another small note just about Reclaimers in general, they're dirty. Like, rust everywhere. There's graffiti in parts of the ship. Anyways, here's the actual crew quarters. So we've got 4 bunks. I mean, nothing. I mean, it's obviously not an origin ship, but it's not bad. I mean, it's got everything they need. They've got bunks. Well, okay, they've got what's supposed to be bunks. Apparently the mattress glitches back. That's kind of creepy. Maybe it's in honor of Halloween. That's what we're gonna go with. They're doing a little exorcist thing. We come in here and we've got their own little lavatory. You know, I'm trying to use fancy words. Little showers. All the necessities. Of course, toilets. Thank God there's toilet paper, I guess. Well, I'm not going to make that joke. Anyways, mandatory vampire check. Still there. Okay, still a daywalker. Alright, nightwalker, whatever. I'm bad at this. I do want to point out, all of our grooming stuff is here. Super important. You might be on a really nasty ship, but at least you'll have fresh breath and, you know, not stinky pits. Alright, we're going to go over and peek across the hall here at the captain's quarters. Hate these doors. Captain has a nice little desk area. Glad they finally got rid of all the servers sitting in here. Come over here. We're at the captain's actual little bunk. He's got his own little lavatory shower. I do love the small wardrobe. Just a nice detail. I'm not sure what's going on with the shoes. I know those are shoes, but they look more like necklaces right now. It's some of the graphical issues going on in this ship are just surprising. We come up here and we're at the mess or galley, depending on where you fall on that debate for what this room should be called. It says mess. I prefer galley. Doesn't really matter. Of course, we've got some ketchup, dirty dishes, because it's this ship, so of course the dishes aren't clean. Was it tequila? Okay. Tavarine. But, I mean, I actually really like, if it weren't so dirty, I really like this room. I mean, it's got nice viewports, large seating area. I'm still not sure why everything about my game is super smoky lately. Ship's not damaged. In this room also is the docking collar. So if you're hopping into one of these and you drop in, it is literally going to drop you into right there. It's wild. Now we come up a little bit further and we're at the technical deck. This deck's kind of strange. We've got a little server room here. No interactive things in here, but it's there. Additionally, we've got another one on this side. Escape pods. Got 3 in there. Come up here, and we're at a part of the ship that's not functional yet, but is going to be pretty awesome. And it's these 2 seats right here. These are the drone operator seats. You can use those to do other salvage things. I don't want to talk out of school. I don't know for sure. I'm assuming this room has something to do with the drones. Not interactive yet. We're getting there. Either way, it's just kind of neat. It's a cool looking little containment room. The ship has like major alien vibes. The movie, not just the word. We've got 3 options here at the end of the habitation deck. This little room, that's our gravity generator. Don't look at it too long. It's like Hypnotoad. We can use this emergency ladder to get to the command part of the ship. Additionally, you can go up this ladder to the actual large manned turret. That thing is wild. That in a bit. And we can go down this elevator to get to the bridge command area of the ship. We're going to go peek up here at the elevator. Not the elevator, my word. Up at the manned turret. That is a mouthful, though. It's got its own little room. Single seat. Let's go. There we go. Alright, so the turret up here, you're looking at 2 size 5 Galdarine laser repeaters. I mean, this thing has some punch. Honestly, it's got better MFDs than the pilot does. I really like it. It turns really well. It tracks well. Most of the turrets in the game do, but some of the larger turrets are a bit slower, whereas this one really does seem to be able to keep up with most of your light fighters. Let's go down to the command area. Another note for folks coming back from this to this ship after the last few patches. This elevator is fixed now, so if you are on the bridge and it's up, you can call it. Some of the graffiti stuff is the little arrows telling you where to go to point things. Like it's definitely not actual design. Anyways, I'm not sure why my character shakes like that coming down the elevator. That's new, but can't change it. That is where the hull munching will take place once that's added. I'm actually really excited about that. That's going to be pretty awesome. This little tower of screens here is where your additional turret operators are. This front one, this one on the back are for the defensive turrets. The ones on the sides are the scanner suites. Here is the front elevator. Once again, don't open it in space. It's such a pain to get back into it from space. It's just not worth it. Use the rear one or use the airlocks. There's the emergency elevator we saw just a minute ago. A couple more escape pods. Here's the actual bridge. So there are these 2 seats here, one on each side, and they control the salvage operator arms, which is the moneymaker of the ship right now. Here at the very front, the seat on the right is the claw operator. The seat is no longer bugged, but it has absolutely no function. It does not work like a co-pilot seat. It's just there right now. I'm still a little old school, so I don't want to sit in it, because that was the #1 way to bug your ship out in 3.18. We are going to sit in the pilot seat here, which is the one on the left. Pilot has pretty good glass. I mean, it's not great, but it's good. It's solid. You can see pretty well. I like that you can see below you a bit. I have controls locked right now, so I did. There we go. One downside for the pilot of the ship, for a ship this large, you would think there would be more than 2 MFDs, but no, apparently that's all you need. Also, there's a legit self-destruct button. Another holdover from the Black Kite mission. There's easier ways to do this CIG. Like, oh man. But the pilot seat's not bad. The pilot station's pretty solid. Like I said, you can see pretty well. The MFDs are a nice color, and the way the lighting has been updated a little bit up here is actually pretty nice because you can see all around a little better. You can see a little more definition on your buttons. One thing to know about the ship, there are no pilot-controlled guns, much like the Carrack. So if you are solo flying and you get engaged, your best bet is to just run. Either pay them off or run. I know that's not the answer a lot of people like, but there's things you can change, things you can't, and right now there's no pilot-controlled weapons. So solo, pay off people, or run. Those are really your only 2 options. So let's talk stats. The Reclaimer has a decent hull HP of 89,000. While it's not the highest in game, it is pretty respectable. And when you pair that with the ship's very, very stout 345,000 shield HP, this is one of the tougher ships to bring down. The shield type is quadrant as well, which makes it just that much tougher because you have to be able to focus fire on one of the quadrants to break through. And if you shift at all, it's gonna repair that shield, and then you're right back to basically starting from fresh. Going after a Reclaimer in a ship that doesn't have high firepower, even if you've got fantastic maneuverability, it's just gonna take so long that it's just not worth it. You want something that punches hard if you're trying to take down a Reclaimer. If you're flying a Reclaimer and you get attacked by an arrow, or really any of the Mustang variants, it's not really anything you got to worry about. Just you'll have time to get out of dodge or to call for reinforcements. So just don't freak out. There are a total of 6 remote turrets, and they are pretty well stationed. They are sighted well. They cover most of the ship. You've got those 2 on the sides there. Up front, you've got 2 more on the sides to the rear here. There's 1 on the very bottom. And then on the top, you have 1 at the very apex of the ship. And then you have the very large size 5 manned turret right there. So it's a pretty tough ship to attack, especially if it's fully manned. It's usually not worth it unless you've got a couple of ships and you're able to really get after them. Each of those remote turrets, by the way, is mounting 2 Panther laser repeaters, size 3 Panther laser repeaters, and that manned turret has a size 5 Galdarine laser repeater with very large magazines. I mean, the size 5, each of those guns has 100, I want to say it was like 130 something rounds. Now, the Galdarines do fire a bit slow. It's not quite as slow as laser cannons, but it's not the rapid fire of the laser repeaters that you're used to from the lower tiers. Those Panthers, on the other hand, have a very high rate of fire and a pretty decent punch. In fact, Panthers are probably my most used weapon on most of my ships anyways. Maneuverability on this ship is limited at best. is how I'm going to describe it. You've got an SCM speed of 76 meters per second, which is pretty bad. A max speed of 932 meters per second, which is also pretty bad. I mean, it's not, you're not going to outrun much. I think there's one or two. I know the Argo Raft is like 890, but it's also going to get to that 890 considerably faster. The angle rates for this ship are 15 degrees per second pitch, 15 degrees per second yaw, and 30 degrees per second roll, which is also pretty bad. I can't remember another ship being lower. I don't want to say it's the lowest. I can't think of any offhand that are worse. While it is a large ship, it is in fact the largest ship in the game in terms of area that the ship takes up. The quantum fuel capacity is not overly impressive. It's just 11,000 liters. I find I have to refuel this ship considerably more often than any of my other larger ships. I mean, it's not every trip, but still, I mean, you can fly an 890 jump with a stock quantum drive all over the galaxy before you got to refuel. Whereas this, you're going to do 1 to 2 long trips depending on the quantum drive you put in there, and you're going to have to refuel. It's a minor detail, but it matters to some people. I'm one of those people. It's something I keep track of. Personally, for quantum drives, I use the Erebos. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that terribly. I'm fairly certain that's Greek, not my forte. It is a bit of a hassle to get that particular drive into this ship. One thing to remember is you cannot land a reclaimer at any space station. You can perch it, if you will, on a landing pad at space stations, but you can't store it. You can't truly land it even on the pads and then store it. It won't let you. So any ship parts that you have to buy at space stations, you're going to have a different ship that you take there, store it, buy the part, store it in that secondary ship. Make sure the secondary ship has a large enough internal storage capacity to carry the part, then fly the part to one of the major cities where either your reclaimer is or you can claim your reclaimer too. Wait for the reclaimer to get there, then put the part in, and then you can use it. A few extra steps. It's kind of a frustrating thing. I'm still not sure why you can't dock this ship. I mean, I'm pretty certain it's because the airlocks, the engines have to be rotated for the airlocks to be oriented in a way that it can actually attach to stations' docking collars. Or it might just be because the docking collar, the actual docking collar for this is on the roof. I don't know. I'm not sure why you can't store it and all that like you would do with an 890. It's just confusing. It's frustrating. But once again, things you can change, things you can't. I really love this ship. I mean, I might not have made that very clear with some of my negative comments, but I do really, really love this ship. This is the third patch cycle in a row where I've made it a priority to get a reclaimer first thing. First ship I buy every time. I'm honestly a bit disappointed that I didn't pledge one when they were on sale over the late spring and the summer. I mean, it is very expensive in game, clocking in at 15,126,400 Alpha UEC. That's at Lorville on Hurston. When it was last on sale, it was retailing for $400 US on the RSI page. I know $400 is a lot. It's a whole lot to me. But when you compare it to the earning potential of really any other ship that's in that price range that's currently flyable, it is by far the best deal. Now, while the ship isn't designed as a combat ship, if it's fully crewed, it can serve as a sub-capital ship in a pinch just fine. As long as you're not in atmosphere, if it's a 0G fight, this ship is a very, very potent combat ship. Now, I wouldn't recommend using it as a carrier. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It's just such a the reward does not outweigh the risk to me for that, compared to something like the Caterpillar or any of the Hercules variants where flying the Furies or any of the snub fighters in and out isn't that big of a deal. In this ship, yes, it can be done, but just because something can be done doesn't really mean it should. That's just my opinion. Hey, if you fit 32 Furies in here and you know blew up the Super Star Destroyer, that's cool, man. Like, more power to you. I'm only giving my 2 cents on it. Solo, this ship, I've said it a couple times, it's a fantastic earner. I mean, just yesterday, I made well over 2 million credits in just, I think it was about 3.5 hours of working on it yesterday. And that was just scrapping and selling cargo, parts, weapons, and RMC. I'm not a super speed guy. I'm not a min-max type player either. I just went out, picked out contracts of ships that I thought might be fun to salvage, and I got a little bit lucky. One of the ships I went after had a massive amount of laranite and terranite. The other one had a whole bunch of drugs, and I had one of my org mates come pick up those. The thing is, though, if you only want to do salvage, if you can crew this thing with 5 people, or even better, 6 people, you can make massive amounts of money really fast. You need a pilot, 2 salvage operators, 1 person moving crates out of the salvage chutes, 1 person moving crates to the cargo hold, and 1 extra person to strip the weapons, cargo, parts off of the ship you're salvaging. I mean, it is crazy. You're talking hundreds of thousands of alpha UEC an hour, and that's splitting, an even split amongst all participants. I think after what we're talking about in the salvage balcony, I think I might try that. We'll see. There might be a neat little how we made 1 billion credits or whatever video coming soon. We're not gonna make that much, but it'll be a pretty sizable chunk, I'm betting. This has been Heimdall's review of the Aegis Reclaimer. Sorry I was a bit more rambling today. I didn't have time to finalize the script like I normally do. If you like what we're doing, please hit that like button, tap subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications for new content. The channel is doing great, and I am striving for at least 1 new video a week, maybe more if we can get to a monetized status, and I can actually be like, hey, look, wife, we're making money on this. That'd be neat to do. Either way, I really enjoy making these, and I sincerely appreciate the time and the comments, everything you guys do interacting with the content I'm making. As always, it's been fun, and I look forward to seeing you all out there in the verse.